All right, Ramiro, do you want to go ahead and get started?
Yeah, definitely. Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. If we haven't met yet, my name's Ramiro Alvarez. I'm the new communications and outreach coordinator here at Pendergast. We are so glad that you're joining us this morning. Before we begin, I would like to share some tips for Zoom. Please remember to mute your mics and feel free to enter questions or comments in the chat. And feel free to interact with our other guests. Also, our Spanish translation or interpretation will be provided by our wonderful Pendergast Family Resource Center. We have a very special presentation for today's event. Our wonderful District Superintendent, Dr. Jennifer Cruz, will present a virtual learning design community forum. Buenos días a todos. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos el día de hoy. Si aún no hemos tenido el privilegio de conocernos, mi nombre es Ramiro Álvarez, soy el nuevo coordinador de comunicaciones aquí en el distrito Pendergast. Estamos muy contentos de que nos acompañe esta mañana. Antes de comenzar, me gustaría compartir algunos consejos para Zoom. Recuerde silenciar sus micrófonos y no dude en hacer preguntas o comentarios en el chat e interactuar con nuestros invitados. La interpretación en español será proveída por el Centro de Recursos Familiares de Pendergast. Tenemos una presentación muy especial el día de hoy. Nuestra maravillosa superintendente, la doctora Cruz, presentará un foro comunitario de diseño de aprendizaje virtual. At this moment, I'd like to welcome Dr. Cruz. Bienvenida, doctora Cruz.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome. I really do appreciate you making time for our presentation today. Some of you may have participated in giving us feedback the first time we offered this presentation about the work that we are looking to do with the reinvestment that the federal government is making in public schools. So I just really genuinely want to thank you all for your ongoing support and input of our school district. We really do appreciate you.
La doctora Cruz da la bienvenida y gracias por participar en nuestro foro comunitario de diseño de aprendizaje. Tal vez anteriormente hubo otra oportunidad y ya han compartido su opinión y sus comentarios y les da la bienvenida.
All right, and we have a phenomenal governing board, as you all know. We could not do the work that we do without their leadership, and I'm just so grateful for them every day. At this moment, I would like to see if some of our board members would like to also welcome you. I believe I saw Ms. Sue Sarin as well as Ms. Hilda Ortega Rosales. So Ms. Sarin, did you want to welcome everyone?
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Cruz. Good morning, everyone. It is so great to see everyone. I know we're still not in person, but just seeing all your smiling faces make my day. It really does. I want to thank you for your continued support. I really appreciate it. And I hope all of you are taking some time this summer to rest and rejuvenate. I think we all need that. But again, thank you again for joining the Lunch and Learn.
Les da la bienvenida. La doctora Cruz dio la bienvenida a los miembros de la mesa directiva del distrito de Pendergast y la señora Susan Serín, que es un miembro de la mesa directiva, da la bienvenida y aprecia que estén aquí. Y verles nuestras caras, ¿verdad? Que sonrientes le hacen el día y que ojalá que todos tomen un tiempo para descansar y rejuvenecer.
Thank you so much. And Ms. Ortega Rosales?
Yes, good morning. Thank you very much for being present in today's very critical work that we will be doing as we move forward. As you know, the funding that we have received from the federal government is much needed. It'll help us to continue the work that we were doing prior to the pandemic, but most importantly, it's going to help us to focus and target resources for our students, for our staff, for our community, so that we can begin to close that gap that was created during the pandemic. And there is no other option for us other than to make sure that we're good stewards of those federal funds. And it's important for us to make sure that your insight, your input is considered as we move forward in planning how we will use those resources. Because as we've all heard me say before, it takes a village to educate a child, and you are part of that village. So we appreciate you being here and taking time out of your busy schedule to provide us with that input. We value it, and we will definitely keep it in our plans. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I just want to make sure, because your Hollywood squares are very small, do we have any other governing board members? I think those are our two board members that were able to make it. I believe that the state legislature was keeping long hours last night. I believe they were up until 2 or 3 in the morning last night. So I suspect that hopefully Senator Quesada is either taking a nap or getting a cup of coffee. So I think we've got some folks who aren't able to be with us today, but we all genuinely appreciate your time. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much to our board again for your leadership. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again with you. All right. And it's really important to us, as we said, that we get your input, your feedback as we're moving forward with this significant reinvestment. And for us, we're trying to make sure that we're grounding our work in the work that we had been doing. So many of you had been involved in helping us develop this profile of a graduate, and you can see our 6 pillars. We are working really hard to make sure that every student can compete globally in their future endeavors and aspirations. We want to make sure that every possible opportunity in the future is available to our students. And so we're working really hard to make our intention a reality. And this investment is going to support us in doing that. So you know that unfortunately, this pandemic has had an unprecedented impact on our communities. I think you all probably know that better than anyone. And so now we have what we consider to be a final round of emergency relief funding to support our schools as we're getting hopefully back to better, not even back to what we had been doing before, but our target is back to even better than what we had been doing previously. So what I've got to share with you is some really technical information, and I'm going to apologize for that, but I think it's really important for you all to see in full transparency what it is that we're receiving that we need to make plans for. And so you can see that our total allocation is just over $19 million. You can see $19,203,595.94 to be exact. And of that money, we are required to use 20% of it. That's about $3.8 million for a very specific set aside. And we're going to talk with you now about what that set aside is for. And then you can see with the other 80%, we're allowed to make some other options. We've got some other decisions to make with that other 80% of the money. So you can see those amounts. So first off, the most important thing to know is that we're trying to make sure that we stretch this money as far as we possibly can. So we're receiving one-time money that we're hoping we feel the positive impact of for 7 to 10 years. And our goal, of course, is to address the academic, social, emotional, and behavioral needs of our students. We know that this has not just been difficult for adults. We know that young children have also really been struggling through the pandemic. So I'm going to talk with you a little bit about that mandatory set aside. It doesn't sound very exciting, but it is. And the main piece of this is interventions to help get students caught up to where they would typically be at this time of year in their learning. And so what we're trying to do is have extended day programming, summer school programming, after school programming. And it's really important for us to make that be targeted. You can see the direction from the federal government is that we have to target underserved students and students who are the most impacted by COVID-19. We specifically have to focus on students that are from different racial ethnic groups, students from low-income families, children with disabilities, English learners, students that are experiencing homelessness or youth that might be in foster care, and also those who may have been affected because of gender or migrant status. So we've been specifically directed by the federal government and by the state to really look at equity issues and make sure that we are specifically targeting those demographic groups. So what we're proposing then is to increase opportunities for our students for before and after school programming. So you'll see the Pride Club is here, and that would actually allow us to have a licensed before and after school program. That would be from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. We'll have 40 Pride Club assistance scholarships at all 12 school sites. So that would work with the same sliding scale that DES uses. What that means is that 40 students would be able to participate in before and after care for free, potentially for the next couple of years, which we think is important for us in order to support before and after school tutoring. You'll see that we're also going to be offering low to no cost summer programs as well. So next year we'll have summer camp opportunities, some other summer care opportunities for families, again, available at no cost to them. We're going to be providing ongoing after school tutoring, before school tutoring, and we're working to make sure that we can support at least 10% of our student population in that before and after school programming and in our summer school programming, which is a lot of kids. That's a really big number, and we're trying to make sure that we're planning to be able to support every student that needs it. We don't want to leave any student out at all. The other piece that we're going to be doing is expanding our summer school programming for middle school students. We want to make sure that our middle school students are well prepared to thrive in high school. So we're going to do some additional work with them, which we haven't always been able to do, but we're really excited to be able to focus on our middle school students. And finally, we're going to be providing some different after school activities for students, some different extracurriculars as some motivators for students to participate in tutoring, participate in some of that extra support academically, and then they're going to get to participate in some really cool programming. And probably the programming I'm most excited about is our academic esports program. We're really excited that we're going to have an esports team at all 12 schools. All right, so here's what we are going to do. We're going to jump into some breakout rooms. And I want you all to have a conversation with each other just about that 20%, right? The mandatory piece that we were talking about before and after school, summer programming, et cetera. I do have some rooms that you'll see that are marked Espanol. And so what's going to happen is if you need a Spanish translation, and Martha, this is the part that I need you to explain. If you need a Spanish translation, we want you to not go into your breakout room so that I can put you into the Spanish breakout room so that those folks can then interpret all that technical information that I just said.
Para las familias que prefieren escuchar la información en español, va a haber, nos va a separar en cuartos y va a decir español para que ustedes vayan a este que diga español, para que podamos explicarles la información y podamos tener una discusión de los fondos que el distrito de Pendergast ha recibido para el fondo de ayuda de emergencia para las escuelas primarias y secundarias. Entonces, yeah, I did.
I figure that'll be easier, Martha, for us to translate that way. Perfect. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and open up breakout rooms. You're going to see an invitation pop up to your breakout room. So if you can go ahead and go into your assigned room, that would be great. Yeah, so we're super excited about this opportunity, you know, for students who aren't sporty in the traditional, you know, sports kind of way, for them to use their gifts and talents after their schoolwork is done.
Right.
There's a method to the madness here.
That's great.
All kids need motivation to keep moving forward, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
great.
Martha, I'm not sure if you had anyone in your group that needed translation. We didn't have anybody tell us that they did.
No, neither. It wasn't needed either.
Okay. Hey, thanks so much for coming back. If you all have questions, we would love for you to please put them in the chat. Things that you're wondering about. Our colleagues from Pendergast are taking notes, and we're also going to give you a link to a feedback form. One of the questions I got is, what is esports? And yeah, that was new for me as well. You know, kids these days, apparently you can actually make money, like real money that pays your bills, playing video games and having people watch you play these video games online. I don't get it, but I'm terrible at video games, right? Maybe I chose a different path. So what's interesting is that now the Arizona Interscholastic Association recognizes esports as a varsity sport. So you have football players and tennis players and swimmers and track stars and esports. And for some reason, the Brophy College Prep esports team has won the first 2 seasons of the state championship. And I'm not here for that. We are creating a feeder system for Tolleson Union because we're coming for those private school kids. And I'd be like, what's going on in the West Valley? So that's what we are doing with our esports team. And, you know, the kids are going to have to qualify by being academically eligible. You know, in order to play varsity sports, you have to be academically eligible. Well, in order to play esports, you will also need to be academically eligible. We think that's going to be highly motivational for our students. And it's also more inclusive. You know, you have kids who are athletic, you have kids who are really into video games, you have all different kinds of students, and we want to be inclusive of all different kinds of kids. And hey, you know what? If this business translates into mom's retirement plan, I'm down. That's okay with me. All right, so let's dive back into our presentation. See if I can share my screen again, because we want to talk with you about the other 80% of the work that we are going to do. And the question regarding tutoring, yes, the tutoring is absolutely going to be free for all students. And then we have information available for folks who are interested in the before and after care. That is on our Pride Club website, and we'll make sure we get that link in the chat for you. But we are very excited about that. That's going to be on a sliding scale. So now we're going to talk a little bit, though, about the 80%, so the rest of the money and what our intentions are. The other piece that I'm so excited about is our Preschool Scholars Program. We're going to be able to support just over 200 3- and 4-year-olds, again, in free preschool. We're super excited about that opportunity. We know that that's going to help our kids and also our families make sure that they are on track and ready for kindergarten. We're going to continue to have school social workers that are supporting our families. So while we have our amazing school counselors who support our students, we're really, really glad that we've got some school social workers who support our families, and we want to continue that support. We're also going to have additional teachers who are focused on our K-3 students. So as you can imagine, kindergarten was kind of a strange experience for students last year. And we know that also some students who would have normally been in a preschool program weren't able to attend a physical preschool program. So for the next couple of years, we want to make sure that we provide smaller class sizes or additional intervention to our youngest students. And that's what that targeted support is all about. We also, as part of the programming, are required to do some work in student and staff health and wellness. And so you'll see some different instructional materials in health and wellness, and also some different strategies that our school counselors are going to be using to make sure that people are socially and emotionally bouncing back from what has been a very, very difficult year. We are going to be continuing to provide hotspots to students who might need internet access in order to do homework assignments, continue the work that they've been doing during the day. You'll see that we're going to be able to get instructional materials. I'm really excited about this. We are perfectly sized to be able to get all new research-based instructional materials in the hands of every student in our system. We're so excited about that. And that is across all content areas. And so you will see brand new instructional materials coming into our classrooms in the next couple of years. You'll see there's going to be a significant infusion of the latest instructional technology, things like interactive displays. You'll continue to see the amplification systems in classrooms. You'll see us work to do professional development to make sure that teachers are learning about how to differentiate, so how to change up their instructional strategies to meet the needs of all types of students in their classrooms, whether they're general ed students or students with disabilities. All kinds of different students are in our classrooms, and we're excited to be able to provide some really robust professional development to help our teachers really know how to best support those kids. And then, of course, we do need some additional support still for our preparedness and response efforts. The PPE, the cleaning supplies, some of those pieces that we've been working on, making sure in the hands of every person, that needs it. We're going to continue that work as well. This is a pretty big list of things. I do, again, want you to jump into those breakout rooms, because it's really important to me that you all have an opportunity to think about some of these pieces and ask about some things we're forgetting. It's really important that if you think we've forgotten about something, or you're not sure if we've included something that maybe you heard someone else is going to be doing, we need the hive mind on this. So I'm going to ask you to go back into your breakout rooms and have that conversation about the 80%. So that list of other activities we're super excited about, you can have that conversation. That would be great. There you are. All right. Any questions come up for you this last conversation? Pretty straightforward.
We were interested in finding out what the research-based instructional materials would look like, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question.
And then what might the student and staff health and wellness look like?
Great questions. Yes. So first question was, what might those instructional materials look like? We are absolutely thrilled to death to be able to get new instructional materials in all of our areas. We haven't been able to do that in quite some time in some instructional areas. So what we do is there's a research-based organization called Ed Reports. They're actually not associated with a company. They're a bunch of researchers who actually check whether or not what the vendors are telling us is true about how impactful their instructional materials are. And so we start there to look at materials that are supposed to be very effective in supporting student learning. And so we kind of start there, and we have a rubric, and we bring in groups of teachers and principals and parents, and we have conversations about what's impactful in terms of instructional materials. And then we pilot materials. So we'll test drive some things. We get feedback from the faculty that are using them, and the children, and the families, and then we go from there. So it's actually a pretty long process for us to select instructional materials. We take our sweet time because it's a really important investment. So it takes us almost an entire school year to actually formally adopt instructional materials for that upcoming year while we're doing our pilot process. So that is a great question. I appreciate that. In terms of the wellness pieces, our incredible school counselors have been doing a lot of their work and pulling together resources that they've been able to find, but we're actually going to purchase materials for them. We're going to make sure that they've got crisis kits, crisis management supports. So we're going to get additional materials to our counselors, but also there are research-based materials that we can give to our teachers, the regular teaching force, for them to teach students lessons about social emotional regulation, how to self-regulate, how to make positive choices, good decision-making, things like that. And we're really excited to be able to provide that to all of the teachers and not have the teaching faculty have to, again, go out, find things, make it up. And all of that information, is also, like I said, research-based, and, we'll go through a review process. Those are great questions. Other questions that folks have about the 80%, so that big chunk of money that we were talking about, please do throw them in the chat. Your questions, your input is so important to us. We want to make sure that you all also know what we're talking about. So if I were to suddenly go attend a conference with a bunch of cardiologists, heart doctors, I might not know what they're talking about. And so you all have jumped into our profession. We've invited you into our profession to give us input, and you haven't had the 12 years of instruction about what it is we're talking about. So, I want you to know it's really important to me and to all of us that you know what on earth it is we're saying. So please, if you have clarifying questions, if you're wondering about something, that's absolutely right. You are right on. And please ask so that we can make sure that you've got clarity. Really, really important. And I'm going to give you contact information so you can ask us another time, just in case you don't want to ask here. But please do drop your questions, anything that you're wondering about in the chat. Super important. I think one piece that folks don't necessarily know that we are required to do is have a return to school plan. So we're really excited about this investment, and we totally understand that with this investment also comes some requirements for what we need to do. And one of the things that we need to do is have a return to school plan. And so we are working we will update our safety plan. We've had our mitigation plan on our website that you all obviously have access to. And we're waiting to hear from a group that we work with, the Trust. We're also waiting to see what the CDC guidelines are going to be for the return to school for this upcoming year. One of the challenges we're facing is that school on the East Coast has just ended, and they don't return until September. And so the Centers for Disease Control said that they would release guidance for schools to reopen in the summer. We're concerned that the East Coast summer, where the Centers for Disease Control are headquartered, and our summer are very different. So we are trying to wait as long as we can to actually put those requirements in place, because you can see that our ability to access the $19 million worth of funds depends on us having a plan that includes the elements that you see on the screen, including the universal and correct wearing of masks, which I'm sure many of you have heard has become kind of a hot topic across the state. You can see, social distancing, obviously hand washing. Your mom has always wanted you to wash your hands. So I think we can all agree that hand washing has always been a good idea. Obviously cleaning the facilities, contact tracing is necessary, testing, as necessary. So you can see those different pieces that are required. And as you can imagine, it's a little bit tricky for us to navigate some of those pieces. So again, we're waiting for some additional guidance from federal and state so that we can make the right decisions. But know that that plan will be public, and we will bring together a group of people to give us feedback about that plan. So Ms. Tussey is going to be leading that work, and you might hear from her that we need your thoughts on our plan. And finally, I told you that we were going to be asking for your feedback, and we really meant it. So we are truly showing you all a draft of our thinking. This is what we really believe right now to be most impactful for our students, for our community. We hope that it is truly supportive of our staff. We want our staff to feel like they are well equipped for the job ahead of them to get our students ready to be grade level, right? End of grade level ready by the time this upcoming school year ends. And so the link that you'll see on there that I'm going to put in the chat is where you can give us your comments and thoughts in addition to the comments and conversation that you've already had in your breakout rooms. So with that, I am going to put that in the chat here. Second. It's like, did not want to work. There we go. All right. Now I can grab that for you. All right, that is the long form. So that one should work, but also we are going to have a link to that feedback on our website. There we go. Here's the short form. All right. And Ramiro, I think that you're going to take it from here, right?
Yes, that's correct. Before we dismiss, we just want to announce that registration is now open for the upcoming school year. For more information, please visit our district's website. Also, remember to tell your friends and family that Pendergast is the place to be. Our next lunch will take place Thursday, August 19th. We want to invite our business partners also to the Community Business Partners Lunch, which is set to take place Tuesday, September 21st. Please make sure to mark these dates on your calendars. We hope to see you then. Remember to like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and our district website. Antes de despedirnos, nos gustaría anunciar que ya puede registrar a sus hijos para el próximo año escolar. Para obtener más información, visite nuestro sitio web. Recuerde decirles a sus amigos y familiares que Pendergast es el lugar ideal para sus estudiantes. Nuestro próximo almuerzo será el jueves 19 de agosto. También nos gustaría invitar a todos los compañeros de la comunidad que nos acompañen el martes 21 de septiembre para otro almuerzo también. Les pedimos que marquen estas fechas en sus calendarios y esperamos verlos pronto. Recuerde darnos un like en Facebook y síganos en Twitter, Instagram y nuestro sitio web. Thank you all so much for joining us and hope you have a wonderful day. Muchas gracias por acompañarnos y que tengan un día maravilloso.